Irish guy and right. So let's take a look at the rest of the Premier League action this week in the Prem catchup. Again, the name for this series is about as creative as a bowl of dead hamsters. Honestly, at the risk of sounding like one of David Beckham's kids, I need a better name. Right, let's go. Crystal Palace 1, Chelsea 2. Well, this was a weird match. Graham Potter's first Premier League game in charge of Chelsea, and of course, he just has to do something weird. I mean, he couldn't help himself. 4-2-2-2. I'm sorry, but we already saw another hipster boy, Rob Rannick, someone who probably poses nude for photo shoots at the Athletic. We saw him try his little 4-2-2-2 project at Manchester United last season, and yeah, it was about as effective as cleaning your shoes with mud. But if I was Edouard Mendy right now, then I'd be paralysed with fear. I mean, Potter may seem like a nice, pleasant man who probably helps old ladies across the street, but lads, with one flick of his wand, he can make established goalkeepers disappear. I mean, don't forget, at Brighton, 1 minute, Matt Ryan was a key Premier League #1, a top quality, comfortable, secure goalkeeper. And one Potter fallout later, and he's currently working in Denmark. And now it looks like Kepa is now #1 goalie for Chelsea again. But I'm sorry. You know when you see a decision that you know is clearly going to end in tears? You know, a bit like seeing a diabetic child decide that he wants to devour an entire birthday cake. Yeah, the doctors are probably gonna have to saw off his head. But Potter is choosing to play with a back four with Thiago Silva in it. He's 38. He is 2 years off his 40s. I don't care how class he's been. There is a reason John Terry was forced to retire. Lad, in a back three, Silva has been majestic for Chelsea, yes. But just you what, he's about to have a nightmare season. Honestly, by Christmas, Chelsea fans are going to be begging the club to stuff him in a suitcase and mail him to China. I mean, this is not fair to him. He is a Brazilian that, by all rights, he should be playing in the Chinese Super League, not being put in a centre-back pairing at his age in the Premier League. It's like asking a retired 83-year-old man to help out as a nightclub bouncer. Yeah, asking him to try and reject a 16-year-old's fake ID or to break up a bar fight, you'll be lucky if he doesn't leave the club in a coffin. And true enough, Silva should have been sent off. I mean, he was exposed. Crystal Palace were already 1-0 up after Odson Eduardo poked them in front. And here, Jordan Ayew, he is one touch away from being one-on-one with Kepa, only for Silva to handball it twice. And no red cards? How? Just how? Did the lads in the VAR studio not want to be responsible for sending off a legend? I mean, in the same way, I'm sure there'd be some starstruck policeman who'd have refused to breathalyze Nelson Mandela, even if he had just run over 7 school kids with a jeep. I mean, what is it with legendary footballers who've got a name beginning with the letters THI who think that it's appropriate to use their hands on the pitch? I mean, it's cheating. Full-on blatant cheating. But trust me, in a back four under Potter, we're about to watch a footballing legend looking like a Brazilian Joseph Yobo. Anyone remember him? Yeah, about as sturdy as a melting tub of earwax. But honestly, just watch. We are about to watch the downfall of a legendary, mythical, aging Silva from Brazil. And no, I'm not talking about the Jake Paul fight. But listen, I mean, he stayed on the pitch. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang swiveled to bang in the usual debut goal. Honestly, if he comes good at Chelsea, it's going to be so weird watching him regularly score again in the Premier League. I mean, don't forget, for a solid 18 months at Arsenal, he just looked like a disinterested pony. But Palace deserves something from the game. So how cruel was it to see their former Lone Star Conor Gallagher stick one into the top bins in the last minute? And for those of you who say, oh, I'm Irish, so I should say Conor Gallagher, I mean, it's his name. I mean, no one ever called Tim Cahill Tim Cahill because he's not from West Cork. But it's a great goal, but Connor, come on, celebrate, live a little. How did he manage to restrain himself? Just how? They say scoring goals is the best feeling in the world. Well, this was a last-minute winner, outside the box. And this is the first goal you've scored for a club you've been at since 2008. He has waited 14 years for this moment. I mean, it's not like his first ever Chelsea goal. It was just a scruffy consolation that's trickled in off his knob in a 5-1 defeat at Fulham. No, it's a last-minute winner. Celebrate! Christ above! What is the point of pretending to be miserable during the greatest moment of your life? I mean, do you really think any Palace fans have held it against him? I mean, do you think running away with your hands in the air? Do you think they'd instantly rush the pitch and try to cut off your hair with a fork? By the way, it's a very quick announcement. Just hit that subscribe button. Pretty simple that. Hit it. Back into the video. West Ham 2, Wolves 0. I said Gianluca Scamacca was going to flop. I mean, on Saturday, whilst watching this match, I was just about to tweet out, Scamacca is just Zaza with hair. And then he fires in a volley from the edge of the box. Thanks, Gianluca, you've once again made me question whether or not I've got dog feces rotting in my skull. Honestly, maybe I should be the one stalking Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz in my quest to find a new brain. But listen, good win for West Ham, but this story is all about how Bruno Lage was immediately dumped. And there's zero outrage. None. Nobody at all. In the same way there'd be no outrage if you heard that someone has just dumped Ryan Giggs. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, not everyone's just shrugged their shoulders and just sort of said, oh, well, Wolves were boring anyway. Now, yes, okay, at times. Watching Wolves play football, about as exciting as watching your nan shave her legs. I'll give you that. But Lage was only given one full season at the club. And they finished 10th. They conceded less goals than Arsenal. And earlier this year, they were leaving Old Trafford with a win. I think it's harsh. I mean, when he first got the job, I expected Wolves to crumble. Like Michael Serra at the gym. I mean, he's a former Swansea and Sheffield Wednesday #2. But I was impressed. Nuno Santo was a hard act to follow. But I mean, Bruno did a good job. It's not his fault Raul Jimenez is now terrified to hit the ball, or that their new centre forward Sasa Kalacic instantly broke his knee. What is his fault though is deciding to switch to a back four, dumping Connor Cody. And yet, just a few weeks into the season, it's a back three again with Ruben Neves in defence. That was stupid. I mean, what was the problem? I'm not sure whether Cody was caught doing a poo in the backseat of Lege's car. Surely there's more to it than this. I mean, there must be some darkness in Cody's heart. Something Lege discovered about him that's made him banish him to Everton. I did. Maybe he walked past Cody in the canteen and saw that he was googling naked victims of Ted Bundy. I don't know, but something weird went on there. But listen, who are Wolves going to get? Someone Portuguese, right? Honestly, they're more picky than Ryan Giggs on Tinder. I think he just wants women with low self-esteem. But listen, I'm guessing Ruben Amorim is the dream choice, right? I mean, the Wolves board probably have a poster of this man framed in their office. But I'm sorry, if this young, promising 37-year-old coach gives up Champions League night for a relegation battle near Birmingham, I will personally feel like slapping him in the teeth. I mean, former Olympiacos coach Pedro Martins is in the running. But I mean, he was just sacked by the same blundering oaf who's currently about to replace Steve Cooper with Rafa Benitez. I mean, do you really want a guy who just lost his job in Greece? Carlos Carvajal is another immediate option. He also got sacked this week by Al Wadi in Abu Dhabi. Lads, he's a guy who's already failed in the Premier League at Swansea, and considering he used to be Lege's coaching mentor, then nicking his job, it's all a bit sick. It's a bit like turning up to your mate's funeral only to hit on his wife. There's also rumours about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but lads, there's more chance of a wolf eating Ollie Murs. I'm gonna call it now. It'll be Andre Villas-Boas, who's still only 44. Lads, what is with Portuguese coaches starting young? I mean, Mourinho won the Champions League at 41. But yeah, AVP is unemployed. He's managed 2 Premier League big boys. He's won trophies, speaks English, and he's Portuguese. This ticks every box. I mean, I've seen some papers link Wolves with Sean Dyche. Sorry, what? There's more chance of me marrying a dog? I mean, I think the rule at Wolves is if you can't order a muffin in Portuguese, you're not getting the gig. I think it'll be AVP. Watch this space, lads. Villas-Boas is coming back. Fulham 1, Newcastle 4. Imagine how Nathaniel Chalobah must have felt on Saturday afternoon. You're sent onto the pitch to do a job. I mean, you're someone who already quit Fulham for Chelsea in 2005. You spent 12 years at Stamford Bridge. You've played for England. Surely there's something about you. And yet, he gets sent off after 8 minutes for trying to break Sean Longstaff's foot. Lads, it needed VAR to get Chalobah off the pitch. So, in a non-VAR world, he'd have gotten away with this. When in reality, that tackle should have almost put him in prison. But lads, this is a procession for Newcastle. So easy. 10 men is not enough to defend against Eddie Howe ball. But I'm sorry, what has happened to Miggy Almiron? I thought we all accepted that this guy was just an MLS brand of teabag as a winger. Someone with such a hideous end product. But lads, ever since Jack Grealish essentially told the world that he thought Almiron was about as much use as a constipated bunny rabbit, he's been a different beast. This is a fella who was a club record signing for Newcastle, and yet had to wait a year for his first goal. And last season, 1 goal in nearly 40 games. And yet, he netted 6 in pre-season, then scored against Man City in the Premier League, and now he was 1 tight offside call away from netting a hat-trick away from home. And let's not forget, his left foot volley into the top bins. That is going to win Premier League Goal of the Month for October. I'd like to see Grealish attempt that. He'd probably pull 3 muscles in his groin. But lads, remember when Eddie Howe somehow turned a cookie-munching dwarf like Ryan Fraser into a winger who chipped in with more assists than Trent Alexander-Arnold and was just 1 less than Eden Hazard 3 years ago? Well, get Almiron into your fantasy league team, because this is another Howe makeover. Honestly, right now, Almiron, someone who under Rafa Benitez and Steve Bruce looked a bit like Pingu with brain damage. Well now, he is class. Liverpool 3, Brighton 3. Liverpool, what? What is going on? Ego and Graham Potter is gone. Brighton are still doing well. Thanks to Zerbi. I thought your tactics were about to be chewed up like wet spaghetti. Now, it looks like now Brighton are Liverpool's bogey team. Liverpool have only beaten them once in the last 5 meetings. Brighton have not lost at Anfield since November 2019. Liverpool have not had a convincing win at Anfield over Brighton since May 2018, back when Dominic Solanke was scoring a goal. Brighton are just not scared of this ground. That, in the last 4 visits, they've had 40 shots at goal. So you know what? Fair play, Brighton. Leandro Trossard scored here in a 2-2 draw last October, a game which Liverpool fans look back on in May, and honestly it felt like biting the head off a goldfish, because those precious 2 drop points cost them the league. Well, now I think that the title race is gone, lads. I know you have a game in hand, but you're 11 points behind Arsenal. Arsenal! That is not a good look. I'm gonna say this. That first half on Saturday was probably this club's worst start to a football match since that time they conceded 7 at Villa Park. It was probably their sloppiest, ugliest, most chaotic start to a Premier League game at Anfield since they lost 3-0 to West Ham in 2015. Honestly, this is their worst start to a home game under Jurgen Klopp. Listen, Trossard fired Brighton 2-0 ahead after some sloppy defending. But lad, Alisson Becker, 3 years ago, Liverpool beat Brighton in spite of him after he was sent off at 15 minutes left. But here, he preserved you a point. He was excellent. Listen, Liverpool did well to claw their way back into a 3-2 lead. I mean, Roberto Firmino, this was supposed to be the season where he was finished, right? Yeah, Darwin Núñez was supposed to have stuffed this man's career into a suitcase and thrown it into a bin, right? I mean, apparently he was inches away from a move to Juventus. I mean, he scored 5 goals in 20 league games last season. Well, now he's got 5 and 6. Oh, Núñez must be watching this game from the bench and felt like biting off his own teeth. I mean, Darwin only has himself to blame because he started well. Brilliant debut goal against Fulham, but choosing to headbutt Joachim Andersen in the face. Idiocy. Well, lads, if we get to the World Cup break and Núñez is still stuck on just 1 league goal, then you're damn right people are going to be screaming flop when he finally gets to kick a ball again a few days before January. Honestly, for Núñez, it's tough. Arsenal 3, Tottenham 1. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Lads, the weirdest thing about this whole game is that I predicted a 3-1 Arsenal win, and I was right. Lads, a great goal from Thomas Partey, but then an ugly howler from Hugo Lloris to cost Tottenham the game. Nice goal from Granit Xhaka, and then brainless idiocy from Emerson Royale. Although, to be fair, that wasn't a red card. But still, you still put yourself in that position, so yeah. After Prince Andrew, he is the most stupid royal in the land. But lad, I have said it since the summer. Tottenham are pretenders. They were never gonna challenge for the title under Antonio Conte. Lads, I've been hearing this about Tottenham for years. Back in 2007, they signed Darren Bent, and people thought they'd challenge for the league under Martin Jol. I mean, there were some newspapers who thought that Harry Redknapp would win Tottenham the Premier League. Just no! Tottenham are allergic to trophies. It's inbuilt into their DNA. They wilt in the big moments, exemplified by the fact that clearly there is a culture at Tottenham where they are terrified of the Emirates. And lads, they really shouldn't be. Since that stadium opened in 2006, I mean, here's just a few teams who've left that ground with a win. West Ham, Hull City, West Brom, Newcastle, Wigan Athletic, Swansea City, Blackburn Rovers, Schalke 04, Southampton, Watford, Ostersunds, Crystal Palace, Brighton, Eintracht Frankfurt, Everton, Burnley, Leicester, oh yeah, and Aston Villa 4 times. I mean, Olympiacos from Greece have left this ground with 3 wins. It's not that hard to win at the Emirates. Tottenham have won here once, in 2010. Tottenham as a club have been steadily improving since around 2005, right? They've been more or less a good team ever since. One of the big boys. And yet, since the Emirates opened, they've now conceded 50 goals at this ground. 50! On derby days away from home, Tottenham always bottle it. Lads, Villa have won here 4 times. And trust me lads, I predicted Spurs to finish 7th, right? Well, when I see Conte on Derby Day having to drag off Son Heung-min and replace him with Matt Doherty, I'm sorry, substituting a global superstar, the Asian Brad Pitt, for some doughy right back from Dublin, oh, then something is seriously wrong. Leeds 0, Aston Villa 0. Hideous. Absolutely rotten. One of the worst games of football I've ever had to sit through. Honestly, this is about as much fun as watching your cat eat your granny's corpse. Horrible game. And Luis Sinisterra, oh, he's the absolute dud of the week. One of the most brainless red cards you'll ever see. But my biggest takeaway from this game was I tipped Leeds to get relegated, right? Then they beat Chelsea 3-0, and everyone just seemed to write off that prediction and assume I was wrong. No. One big win does not guarantee survival. I mean, you get as many points for beating Chelsea 3-0 as you do for squeaking a 1-0 win versus Nottingham Forest. Lads, 3 years ago, Norwich beat Man City. still finished bottom of the league. That Chelsea win means nothing. Back in 2011, Birmingham City beat Chelsea, still got relegated. Back in 2015, Newcastle beat Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp. They also got draws at home with Chelsea, Man United, and beat Tottenham 5-1. Still got relegated. Lads, Leeds have not won a single match since beating Chelsea. I mean, last time out, they travelled to Brentford and shipped 5. Trust me, don't believe Jesse Marsch. He is losing the plot. Am I the only one who thinks they're going down? I mean, Thomas Tuchel was also sitting in the stands towards the end of his Chelsea tenure. It's not a good look, Jesse. He seems like a nice guy in interviews, but clearly he's an emotionally immature mouse of a man. I'm sorry, is this Jesse Marsch or Jesse Pinkman? Honestly, this guy should be managing USA at the World Cup, because the Premier League is too big for him. Sorry, Leeds, I'm not changing my mind. You're going down. Bournemouth 0, Brentford 0. Okay, I don't want to dwell on this game too long because honestly, it looked about as exciting as watching a priest poop. But I will say this, Bournemouth, stop looking. I realize they're going through a takeover and technically don't have a coach, but Gary Neal is your man. Honestly, I know this sounds like the plot of a bad rom-com starring Cameron Diaz. You know, when she discovers at the end of the film that, oh, it's her nerdy cousin who she should be with. I don't know. Anyway, but listen, this is a team who just lost 9-0 at Liverpool. The fact they haven't lost a game since. This is the greatest recovery by any team who've ever lost by 9. O'Neill has stepped in with a managerial pedigree of undercooked lettuce, and yet that's still 2 clean sheets since. A 0-0 with Wolves, a 3-2 win at Forest, a 1-1 draw at Newcastle, and now a 0-0 at home to Brentford. Scott Parker watched his team concede 16 times in 3 games. Under O'Neill, 3 goals conceded in 4. What a job! Forget about Sean Dyche or Chris Wilder. Honestly, don't pick O'Neill for a sacked Middlesbrough coach. He's horrible lunacy. I mean, apparently O'Neill has done so well that Middlesbrough actually want to interview him for the job. Partly because it's in fashion to hire a guy who used to play for the team. But honestly, of all the managers in the Premier League, I think O'Neill has done his reputation the most good this season. He is the breakout coach of the season. He's been class. So don't you dare dump him for Sam Allardyce. Leicester 4, Nottingham Forest 0. Get James Maddison in the England squad. If he doesn't get in, it's a vital disgrace. It's a joke, an absolute travesty. Lad, I know there's different positions, yes, but of all the English footballers out there, I thought Darren Bent was the most hard done by. Yes, you probably all sneered him for being an out-of-touch talk-talk pundit who's got the brain of tin soup, but he was one of the most lethal Premier League strikers of all time. Lads, he scored 18 goals in a Premier League season for Charlton Athletic right before the World Cup, and yet still didn't make the play. I mean, lads, you think 18 goals for Charlton is good, right? How about this? 24 Premier League goals for Sunderland. 24. That would win the Golden Boot most years. I mean, he was just 2 goals behind Wayne Rooney. And did he make the World Cup in 2010? No, he was left out for Emile Heskey. Some broken teapot who'd scored 3 all season. 3! The fact Bent never went to a tournament with England is a disgrace. Anyway, it's a similar thing for Maddison. He's just far too good to sit at home. As for the game, Forest are a mess. Clearly buying 22 players is actually brain dead. And Steve Cooper, despite being a talented coach, is probably going to be sacked any day now. Southampton 1, Everton 2. Great win for Frank Lampard. I mean, lads, after the summer transfer window they've had, are Everton now actually good? Even Dwight McNeil scoring goals. But yeah, Wolves choosing to loan out Cody. That's about as clever as an Uber driver choosing to chuck his glasses out the window. Yeah, have fun crashing into a tree. Anyway, so what do you let me know in the comments? What do you think? Or let me know. What do you think of your team this weekend? Let me know. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to always. I'll talk to you in a while.